Welcome to the Joy Workshow, the podcast that goes beyond the surface of business, right to the heart, to explore the real joy and the stories behind success. Not just the moment of celebration, but the challenges that pave the way for them. Hi, I'm Diane, and on this podcast we know that joy isn't about just the good times. Often the greatest joy comes right after the greatest challenges. So, as well as our guest episodes every week, where we delve into their stories about joy, I bring you a solo episode just from me with a wee bit business, life, and everything in between. And today's episode is all about something that's equal parts essential and cringy and has given me the major ick quite a few times: networking and community building. But hold on, don't run for the hills yet. I promise this isn't your typical work the room, be the loudest person, collect the business cards, do the thing, lecture. We're doing this the Joy Work way, which means keeping it real, breaking the cliches, and making it something that you actually want to do, making you realise why it's actually part of your business, and dare I say, begin to enjoy it. This episode is dedicated to my fellow introverts out there, you quiet thinkers, deep feelers, and people who'd rather do just about anything than make small talk. But extroverts, don't worry, I see you too. I've got some little nuggets for you to make sure that you can light up the room in the best way that you know how to as a wonderful extrovert. So whether you're lighting up the room or hiding behind the snacks, networking is essential for growing your business. So grab your coffee, whatever drink you have, whatever fuels you, and let's start chatting about it. So let's talk about why networking matters for your business. Why is it so blinking important? Your work supposed to speak for itself? Isn't what you do and getting visible and putting out there meant to speak for itself? Isn't that enough? Well, yes, your work does matter. The quality of your work matters. The quality of your product, your service, your customer experience, your reviews, that all matters. But people don't just buy from businesses. They buy from people they know, trust, and dare I say like. But networking is also about building those relationships and creating opportunities that might never come your way if you're flying solo. Often networking can get you somewhere much faster than if you just sit at home, sit in your office, wherever you're doing your work, and hoping that the right person comes along. It is said that 85% of jobs and opportunities come from networking. Not skill, not luck, but networking, by intentionally putting yourself out there. So whether it's a collaboration, a referral, or a chance encounter that changes your trajectory, connections open doors. Networking is also your secret weapon in business visibility. Think of it like planting seeds. Every conversation, every introduction is a potential bloom later on. But here's the thing, you have to plant the right seeds with the right people, not just scatter them aimlessly. If you don't have all the right ingredients, that beautiful flower is not going to bloom. So if you're sitting listening to this and thinking about networking as an introvert, let me say this loud and clear. You do not have to be the loudest person in the room to be effective at networking. In fact, your superpower lies in your ability to connect deeply and authentically. And whilst we're here, small talk is not part of networking. I would say that small talk could possibly kill a great networking event. I was recently having a conversation with somebody and asked them about a networking event, and their answer was that there was too many conversations about the weather. I don't want to have conversations about the weather. As an introvert, I am terrible about conversations about the weather because I'm so busy thinking about what I could say, what I should be saying, what they might say, what they might think, what they're currently thinking of me, and the other barrage of things that are going on in my head, that I can't possibly talk about something so small. So I don't want to go to a networking event that it's not encouraged to have deeper conversations and have different conversations and have the conversations that people ultimately want to have. So here is my few tips for networking as an introvert. Forget quantity and focus on quality. Instead of when you're going to a networking event and you think that you have to connect with all of the people there, and that is an overwhelming thought and a terrifying thought. So instead of trying to meet all of the people, or even meeting 10 people, aim for one or two. Aim for one or two meaningful conversations. Aim for one or two conversations that you will remember when you leave. And ultimately, the connection you have made, the person that you have just met, you'll have built a relationship and they will remember you too. That will hold you in greater stead for further conversations, for further networking from those one or two conversations that you just had. Lead with curiosity. Introverts excel at asking great questions, so use it. Introverts excel at really listening to what people are telling them, so use that to fuel the great questions that you could ask. What's been the most rewarding part of your work lately is a lot more interesting question than what do you do? Play to your strengths. 3, plan your exit strategy. There's no shame in leaving early. There's no shame in leaving when you feel his time was right. Quite often with some networking events, there might be some run over time. And if you want to leave when you believe the event was to finish, then that is absolutely fine. You can find the ways to make you leave. You can take breaks, you can recharge, and you can pace yourself. Make sure you're building the networking event around you that you want to have. Now, if you're listening to this and going, that's all very well and good, Diane, but I'm an extrovert and I love having conversations. I thrive in these places. And that is fantastic because you've got the energy, the enthusiasm, the charisma. Quite often people think that I am an extrovert when I go to these things, when I put myself out there, but it's only because I have been known to only put myself out there in places where I feel comfortable. This year for me is putting myself out there on a larger scale, getting as visible as I possibly can. This podcast is a huge part of that. And in doing that, my lovely introverted self comes out much more than my extroverted self. But as an extrovert, if you are one, sometimes it's easier to overdo it, or you spread yourself too thin, or you go to a networking event, you have this fantastic time there, you're full of energy, and you get home and you're like, I can't remember anybody's names. I didn't write anything down. I had a wonderful time. I will go to that networking event again, but I'm not sure what I'm following it with or what I got out of it. So if you're an extrovert, here are your tips. Be intentional. Instead of working the entire room, focus on making a few strong connections. Use the energy to go and find those conversations that are going to be really important for you. Listen more than you talk. Extroverts, you're great at leading conversations. You're great at talking not just about what you do, but also what others do. But take time to really listen. It'll make your connections more meaningful. It'll make your follow-up more meaningful. It will mean that you will stay in that other person's mind much longer. And importantly, they will stay in yours. 3, follow up. The magic is in the follow-up. Send a quick note or message within a day or two to keep the relationship alive. And that's important whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. Following up, building their relationships, that is what's truly, really important. We are building relationships. Think less of building networks and of building bridges. Think of not what somebody can do for you, but what you can do for them. How can we help each other? When you're building a network, building those bridges, you want somebody to be talking about you in a room that you are not in. That is one of my favorite thoughts, that somebody might be having a lovely positive conversation about me and what I do within my business, what I do within my community. in another room that I am not in. That is the beauty of getting out and networking. So online networking versus offline networking. So online networking, the digital playground, the place where we can get ourselves visible, get ourselves out there. And good news for us all, networking doesn't always require stepping into a crowded room. And that is what the online space gives us. The online world offers endless opportunities. So you could either look at it as actual online networking events, or you can look at the digital playground as one big online networking event. So as introverts, you need to think about where you can comment thoughtfully on posts or write your own. A well-crafted post can attract like-minded connections without even leaving your desk. Think about what platforms you want to use. As a business person, as a business owner, is LinkedIn more suitable for you to have thoughtful thought leader conversations as opposed to Facebook or Instagram that might be something more social? Or do you want that social aspect? Do you like that Instagram's can be a super friendly place? Is that where you want to show up and do things? Think about where you want to create that networking. Extroverts use platforms like Instagram stories, going live on Facebook, doing things like that, because that's showing your personality and connection in real time. But remember that online networking isn't about broadcasting, it's about engaging. But as an extrovert, you can put yourself out there in such a visibly grand way that will resonate with your audience and really build that know, like, trust factor. Get into DMs, comment on posts, start genuine conversations, start building the best type of network for you and your audience using all of these tools that we have right at our disposal, right here at the ends of our fingertips. And think about the online networking events. I've had lots of conversations recently about online events as opposed to offline events. And offline events are absolutely magical. Meeting people in real life, particularly after our lockdowns and COVID times, it is so important to get out there. There is nothing like sitting in a room full of magical people. And ultimately, that should be part of everybody's networking strategies. It's certainly going to be part of mine this year. But there is also times where I want to be able to network from my home, from my office, from where I live and work, to be able to maximize the amount of time that I network. So I want a blend of both the online networking event space and the offline networking events too. So online networking events, think about the spaces that you want to show up with. Look out those spaces that do bring magical people together, do bring people together in a great way. It is not just a transaction. It is about building those relationships and building those bridges. And you will find good and bad in both online and offline networking. It's about finding those spaces for you. So here are two things that I shared recently that I believe everyone should master. Two most underrating networking strategies. One, give before you take. Networking isn't just about what someone can do for you. It's about you offering value first. Whether it's a referral, a resource, a listening ear, a connection, whatever it is, think about what you can do for that person rather than thinking about what they can do for you. You're building those relationships. When you're thinking about sales in your business, marketing in your business, networking in your business, lead with service and relationship building. That will make everything so much easier because it will come from a much more natural, authentic space than it will if you're constantly leading. Whether you're good at sales or bad at sales, find it icky or confident in it or anything in between, when you lead with service and relationship building and it comes from that authentic space, it will be much easier, it will be much clearer, and you will get more sales and leads and marketing within your business with ease. Leverage the power of introductions. Want to be remembered? Be the person who connects others. Diane introduced me to so-and-so. I went to such and such's networking event and she introduced me to this person and now we're working together. I spoke to this person. We had such a great time talking to each other. We couldn't work together at that point, but she's now introduced me to this person. That is such a powerful reputation to build. People will always be talking about you. You will always be on somebody's thoughts. You will be talked about in rooms that you are not in a positive, wonderful way. Creating your personal networking strategy. Networking isn't one size fits all. The key is to find what works for you. Ask yourself, where do I feel most comfortable connecting with others? How much social energy can I realistically spend each week? Who are the people I'd love to meet, and how can I add value to them? So whether you're looking at virtual coffee chats, online networking events, small group events, large networking events within your local area, national events, local, whatever you are looking at, or even if you're hosting your own meetup, you can design your networking strategy to fit your style and strengths. So go back to those questions. Where do I feel most comfortable connecting with others? Do you really not connect in the online space? Find those offline spaces where you can, or vice versa. Maybe offline is very difficult for you at this precise moment in time, not just from an introvert versus extrovert point of view, from a personality point of view, but also from a logistical point of view. I am a mother of two under nearly 4 now, and I'm currently going through a health flare-up. The thought of getting out to networking events is quite scary to me at this precise moment in time, and logistically difficult. I'm going to be doing it before the end of the month, but it doesn't mean that it's simple. So it makes online networking much more attractive to me at this precise moment in time. So think about where you feel most comfortable connecting with others. Please always push yourself out of your comfort zone, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it every single time. You want to get them as most out of networking as you possibly can. How much social energy can I realistically spend each week? Think about the energy that you have to use within your business. Think about how important networking from attending an event point of view is to you this week, this month, this quarter, and think about how much you want to put into it. I know in Q1 of this year, visibility and networking are super important to me. So I am making sure that each week, a lot of my energy is spent doing that, because that is a huge strategy for my business. But if it's not as important to you for this quarter, for a number of reasons, then don't spend as much energy at it, but make sure you're keeping your hand in, making sure you're going to maybe one a month, maybe make sure you're still building that network in the vast number of ways that you can be building a network. But think about your energy and how you're going to be using that. And who are the people that you'd love to meet, and how can you add value to them? If you know that you want to meet people who own nail salons, then you don't want to be going to a local business network that is only full of contractors, business contractors. That's a pretty obvious one to say, but quite often we get caught into this show up, show up, show up. We need to be doing the things, get the networking events in our calendar, constantly busy doing it. But think about where you're going to meet the people that you want to meet this year. Now, whether that is people you want to meet from a connection and from a nurturing point of view, whether it's your ideal and dream clients that you know that ultimately they're the people who will be buying your services and your products, you can make sure that you're looking after both. Building that network and the connections is just as important as these people, because both will nurture each other. Now, I want you to put all this into practice, and it is one of the reasons that I started my own networking. I started the Joy Exchange Network last year, part of the Joy Work Club. And we have our first event of 2025 on Wednesday. The Joy Exchange Networking is online at the moment. We will be bringing local networking in 2025, but it is online, and our first 2025 event is this Wednesday, January the 15th at 10 a.m. It is online, it is an hour. It's relaxed, it's informal, and it's full of real conversations. It's the perfect place to start building those meaningful connections that we've spent this time talking about. We come together, we introduce ourselves, because let's face it, we need to get to know each other. And we have 3 breakout rooms in the sessions, anything between 2 and 4 people in each breakout room. And we also have a theme. So each month there'll be a theme to get us going. So every time you go in a breakout room, a question will be posed to you. And that question could be anything from a strategy question to a personal development question to getting to know each other question. And it is just there to break the ice, to be working on our businesses whilst we are networking. And yeah, it's a lovely way to get the conversations flowing. I also know there's lots of breakout rooms that many of the attendees go into and don't use the questions and just get chatting together, which is ultimately brilliant and exactly what you want from a networking space. So if that sounds like something you would like to come to, then please feel free to register. The links are in the show notes. It is completely free to attend. It is wonderful. It is lovely. It is joyful. And that is the Joy Exchange on Wednesday, the 15th of January at 10 a.m. They are every single month. And once you register, you'll be kept fully up to date of the date of every one of them. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please do feel free to rate, follow us, let me know what you think about the episode and the podcast. And just remember, leaving you with this thought, networking isn't about changing who you are. It's not showing up in the spaces how you think you should show up. It's about amplifying what makes you uniquely you, because you are pretty wonderful. Keep doing the joy work and building the business you love. And I'll be back on Thursday with another of our wonderful guest episodes. Have a great week.